Pashupati Advani to talk a little bit about the overall market outlook. And Pashupati, can't help but talk first up about crude. We're talking about this sort of a solid move from to bear market territory in the matter of just 6 weeks. How is this boding for our markets, and how are you seeing this equation?
Well, I guess we should be really happy about it.
But the markets don't seem to be thrilled.
Well, I don't think so, because one of the things we have seen is that the rupee is corrected from 73, high 73 to close to 72. The OMCs are obviously going to get a huge benefit, which we're seeing in the markets today. And, I think, you're talking about 6 weeks. I think most of it has been in 6 days. I mean, there's a drop. So it's been very, very fast. But again, it's very difficult to understand, because whether the Saudis are going to be able to pull off and put prices back up or not, or whether we're in a bear market for oil. I personally feel that it's going to go back up into the 60s. But I don't see it going to the high 70s and 80s for a while, because I think it'll be in this range. Simply because that everyone's trying to figure out how to deal with the Iran sanctions and the other things that are happening in the crude world.
No, but around 70 and sub 70 would be still something that will work well for us from a macro perspective.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess about 3 or 4 years ago we were wondering about 30s to 40s, and now we're quite happy with 60. 60 seems to be a comfortable number for everybody. 70 starts to get a little uncomfortable for us, and 75 is painful. So let's hope it stays in this range, and I think that'll definitely make a difference to everything.
No, but to Avan's point, and I want to just scratch that a bit more. You have the crude tailwind coming in. You have currency which is stabilizing to an 8-week high. You've had good news on the inflation front, which is fine, and bond yields are cooling off as well, which is essentially kind of reinstating the expectations that the market may have on future rate hikes. And yet we're not seeing that sort of buoyancy in the markets just as yet.
But, simply because, again, I've always been a believer that our markets are driven by money coming in and money going out.
So there's good news on that front as well. October has been a good month in terms of inflows.
Well, the SIPs seem to be back.
But the FIIs?
The FIs are not. So, they still need to be, that trigger still needs to come. And actually, what I am hearing is that the hedge funds are actually losing money this year, and so are emerging market equity funds. So, that's not going to be good for us, simply because we are one of the best performing EM markets last year. So, people are...
Even this year on a relative basis, we've done okay.
Yeah. So, therefore, people are taking profits and, getting into, either giving back redemptions or also, going into markets which have got kicked out last year, earlier in the year, and trying to see what opportunities are available there.
Okay. Now let's talk about what you like in this market. I believe you're veering towards the cement sector. You always have been exceedingly bullish here. But why the mid caps and not the large caps?
Simply because I think that there's going to be consolidation in the space, and there's some economies of scale. So the mid caps are obviously trading at a much lower valuation than the large caps. So they're the ones to go into and hang on to. It's also, according to me, the time to relook at infrastructure. You are seeing some good infrastructure companies like IRB, Dilip Bilkon, Ashoka Bilkon, L&T, which have got good numbers. So therefore, those are, there seems to be some separation between the men and the boys in that sector. And I think that one should have a review and maybe start nibbling in that sector, simply because they've all been beaten down a lot. So, it is a time to sort of pluck and see, which companies are really hammered from the top, and then should, do they have fundamental problems, or has nothing changed? And if nothing has changed, maybe it's time to get back into them.
And what's changed when it comes to the logistics space? Of course, you have the crude positive. But other than that, is there anything else that you like within the logistics sector?
Well, I've always been bullish about logistics in general, simply because it is the way to go. Anyone who's, it's a little bit of a long haul and probably the cycle, but you have to look at companies that are investing in the cold chain, because that's the next big boom. And also anyone who's got proper logistics, who's doing business with the Amazons and Flipkarts, i.e. Walmarts of this world, is obviously going to benefit. And those are the companies that one needs to be looking at and getting into at this point.
This whole thing with the Zee Entertainment, some of the topical news points this morning. Zee Entertainment, they want to sell off 50% of their stake, want to move the business from being just a media company to a tech-oriented media company, tech-based media company, or a technology media company, whichever way you want to put it. What's the story there?
Well, I guess there's consolidation in that industry as well, and they are producing content, and I guess they want to do it more technologically. And I guess you're seeing overseas a lot of content that's being generated automatically. I mean, we had talked about few years ago, you talked about people doing, splicing work like prime focus and special effects and all. That's now no longer being talked about, because now it's like almost every company is able to do it. So I think that those are the trends, and I guess Z has always been ahead of the trends in a lot of things. So they're deciding that, maybe this is not what they want to focus on, because they have a lot of other businesses that are also, good, solid businesses that make the money.
The market's not really taking it too well. They sort of, I think the inherent fear is that if the promoters who have worked so long to build up the company are exiting, then maybe there's some inherent problems that we're not seeing.
No, I think this is a big money business, and like everything else, any promoter who's in 5 or 6 big money businesses has to choose where the growth is. And I definitely feel that Subhashji is probably looking at what Jio is doing, and probably it says let's shoulder some risk and maybe either get a partner or maybe exit completely. And I guess this is the first step in looking forward to that.
Okay, now you brought up Jio, so I'm going to drag that point forward. Jio Giga Fiber, big game changer. Den, Hathway, all of those companies now in their control. Is the same thing going to happen here that did happen in telecom?
Well, they're definitely going to be disruptors in the space, there's no question about it. But they're doing it from the content point of view. But realistically, I still feel that content is going to drive through mobile rather than through cable. That's my personal feeling. Okay. And the cable rollout is fine. But the thing is that Jio has a license for internet telephony, and therefore, for them getting into 5G, fiber will also be a way to replace towers at a cheaper price.
Ashok Leyland, the leadership transition is really impacting the stock today. I wonder why. The numbers looked okay, and you have.
Well, I know Vinod Dasari, and he's a very good leader, and I think they'll be sad to see him go. He's done it for personal reasons, and he's been there for 14 years, and he's definitely turned the company around. And I guess it depends on, there is a void for now, but he's committed to being there till March to find a successor, and I think then they'll move on.
No, but if the stock is down 7.5%, what is the market disappointed?
Well, the market feels that the leadership was Vinod. I mean, that's what the market feels, and he has been the driver, and he has been the public face of the company. And I think until they get a new public face of the company who's got some credibility, it's going to be time. I remember when Vinod first joined, he was the deputy MD for like 5 or 6 years. So, that transition is obviously not going to happen. The new person is going to be probably join Jan 1 and take over April 1. So it's a different training curve. But then times are different as well. But the company's solid. They're in a good space, and I don't see. I mean, there's obviously nervousness because of direction. Would you say this
is a buying opportunity for Ashok Leyland?
Yeah, I think so. But I think when you have dips like this, there's obviously more strength.
It doesn't reflect. Sorry, Avan, but it doesn't reflect a peak in the cycle, because
I don't think so.
That. Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's Children's Day, Pashupati. I don't know if you knew that today. So you have 3 lovely children. What is it? 4 lovely children. So tell us, what would you be telling them? What would you want to see in their portfolio? Have you already started building it up?
Well, I guess we have to look at what things will be there when they grow up. Okay. We don't have as many fangs in India, but I think that I think
but that's an opportunity.
That's an opportunity. To you, No, but I think the reality is that the market has changed a lot, and there's been a lot of things are moving a lot faster in terms of technology. I would love to see a couple of big AI companies in India. I would love to see a couple of robotics companies in India. We're still not seeing that because they're both capital intensive. But those opportunities will come, and I think those are the ones to be bought. Unfortunately, private equity has taken some of the joy out of what used to be the Indian small cap market. But so be it. I think
maybe 10, 15 years down the line then.
Yeah. So those are the ones that I mean, we're going to have AI, we're going to have robotics. So that's therefore the places to be.
All right. Thanks very much then, Pashupati, for joining in and giving us your clear vision on the markets as well as outlook in terms of individual sectors to look at.